I'm Wendy Carrillo. Thanks for listening. You can catch a podcast of this show on my blog at power106.com, and you can follow me on Twitter at Wendy Carrillo. On January 10th, Immigration Customs and Enforcement, otherwise known as ICE, trespassed without a warrant into the home of DREAM Act advocate Erika Andiola and apprehended her mother, Maria Arreola. Her brother, Heriberto, who was next door at a friend's house, was also handcuffed and taken by ICE. Throughout the night, Erika used social media to mobilize the country and stop the deportation of her family. To share with us her story is Erika joining us from Arizona. Thank you for taking the time, Erika, and good morning to you.
Hey, good morning. Well, thank you so much for inviting me.
So tell us, I saw what happened on, through various reports online, but I want you to take us through that moment for you and how you learned about what was going on and where you were at that time and what happened with your mom.
Yeah, definitely. Well, we're pretty much, we had ICE visiting us at home. Unfortunately, they came around 9 p.m. They came, they asked they knocked on the door really hard. I told them I didn't know who they were. They were pretty much, wearing normal clothes, undercover. And they told me that they had something around, an investigation that they were doing. They needed to talk to me. Of course, they were lying to try to get my mother to come out. I opened the door not knowing necessarily what was happening. And my mom was right there in front of the door. So they basically asked for her. And they asked her to come out of the door because if she didn't, they were going to take her son, which is my brother that was outside already talking to the neighbor. Unfortunately, they took him both without any warrant, without any explanation, treating her like she was some sort of criminal, like putting handcuffs on her and also not wanting to even take her medicine that she needs. So, I am also an organizer. I'm an activist, and I just, I was really, really upset, but I also knew that I needed to do something to stop her deportation and the deportation of my brother. So I started working all night, basically, and I didn't sleep at all, trying to organize the community, talking to different Congress people, talking to, everyone I could, and doing a lot of the social media work. And, we were able to escalate so much that, thank God, my brother was released the next day around 6 a.m. And my mom was actually being taken in a bus already to the border. She was a couple of minutes almost to the border when ICE from D.C., the national headquarters of ICE, called the actual person driving, and they told him to turn the bus around because they were going to let my mother go. So it was, it's been amazing. Now I have her here with me, and I'm really grateful for the community, and I'm also really grateful to God and everybody, who helped me have my mom here with me today and my brother.
I could imagine that it must have been so heart-wrenching for you to just see all that and feel kind of powerless as to your brother and your mom being taken away.
It's one thing I've worked with a lot of cases in the past of dreamers that that they've been put into deportation proceedings, and I worked with some cases trying to stop the deportation, but it's not, of course it's not the same when it's your own mom that you don't necessarily know if you're gonna not see her in a while, or being separated by a border, right, between you and her. Mm-hmm. So it definitely got personal, and it's just beyond, just a political fight. This is actual reality. This is people are going through this.
Tell me about the story of how you came to the United States and how you find yourself in the situation where you're at.
So the reason why we came, my mother had a lot of problems with my dad. He used to, abuse her, and a lot of times, try to, hit my siblings, and they got to a point where he even wanted to, to hit my little brother, who was only like one or 2 years old. So it escalated so much that we needed to get out of that, and he was just following us everywhere. So we actually decided to go to the United States, to come to the United States, actually. And, my mom has citizen brothers and sisters. So they told her, you come over here, you'll be away from the violence, and you'll be fine. So that's the way, that's the reason why we came. We crossed the border. We were not able to get visas. We tried about 3 times to get a visa from Mexico, and because we didn't have money, because we didn't have, X amount of documents, they didn't give us a visa, so we had to cross the border. So, I'm here. I came when I was 11. She brought me when I was 11 with my 4 siblings, and we've come a long way here in the United States as immigrants, and now, we're facing this after almost 15 years.
Okay, and you said earlier that they didn't let her take her medicine. She has an illness that she needs medication for?
So they did at the end. They were really rude, of course. They were I remember about 6 agents that came, 6 cops. And some of them were really rude, and one of them was a woman, Latina woman. And I told her, my mother needs to take her medicine because she used to have cancer. She had cancer not too long ago, and she has high blood pressure and diabetes. If she doesn't take these medicines, the cancer can come back, and and she can get even a heart attack if she doesn't take her medicine. And at this point, they were okay. We'll wait. My little brother couldn't find the medicine inside the house, so I said, you know what? He's taking too long. We're taking off. Sorry. And I'm like, my mother needs some medicine. Like, she has to take it. And until the woman started laughing at me, literally, like laughing at me. Thank God my little brother came out running and gave him the medicine, but they were going to leave without it.
And how old is your little brother?
He's 16.
Did you talk to him after about what he was feeling, and what did he say?
I did. He was really strong. I didn't know how to talk to him, to be honest with you. I think that, I've thought a lot about the situations, what if they do this to us, or, what if this would have happened? And I think that once we were there in that situation, didn't know what to tell him, but he was a very strong kid. He was just, he told me, I believe in you, I'll do whatever you want me to do. And he was organizing with me the entire night. He was making calls, and just, this is a very, very strong learning moment for him in his life. And the only thing that makes me think is, he's 16, but there's a lot of children, younger than him that have to see this. And there's people that come take the families from them, don't care. They don't care about their mental health. They don't care about how they're gonna grow up and have this in their minds of they're taking their parents by cops.
Right. I'm speaking this morning with Erika Andiola, who made a lot of news recently because her mother was detained and almost removed from the country, her mother Maria. And thanks to her organizing and mobilizing literally the country, her mother was able to stay within the U.S., and she continues to be a strong advocate for comprehensive immigration reform. And you, Erika, are a huge part of the network United We Dream and Presente, based out of Arizona. What would you like the general public to know about the situation and the work that you're doing?
I can even go back to my mom's story as an example. One of the reasons why we think the ICE came to my house was because my mother, a little bit after SB 1070, which is our Show Me Your Papers law here in Arizona. It was I think it was like 2 days, 3 days after it was put into effect. My mom gets stopped for no reason. She was, driving her car, and a cop stopped her supposedly because she was speeding, which she wasn't. And eventually, asked her for her papers. She said, I don't have anything with me. They suspected she was undocumented and took her into detention inside the Mesa Police Department. They didn't want to release. They didn't want to keep her or take it to immigration because it was night. It was like Saturday night, so they said we're just gonna let her go. And, it stayed like that. And I think that out of that came, ICE coming into our home. And so I'm going back to her story because this is exactly what happens every single day in Arizona. We have tons of cops who are, of course, enacting SB 1070 as they wish, as they think it is. We also have our sheriff department, Maricopa community, or the Maricopa County, sheriff who's doing this exact same thing, working together with immigration to give the information of these families and allowing them to actually grade them at their own homes. So, it's a horrible situation, and it's a situation that we're trying as much as we can to stop with the community organizations here. But it's challenging. It's very challenging because we have a lot of power. We have a pretty powerful, really, really right Republican Party here in Arizona. Mm-hmm. That's not necessarily, it's not because they're the Republican Party, but they're that type of really extreme Republican Party that is ruling our city and our state.
Yeah, for a party that prides itself in being good Christians with morals, it seems like the exact opposite when it comes to the dignity of life for human beings, right?
Yeah, definitely. They have not, there's been a couple of people within their party that have come out, against what they're doing, but unfortunately, most of the time here in Arizona, they get shut down by their own party again. So,
and what would you tell family members and young people like yourself that are experiencing this kind of treatment every day as far as what they can do to empower themselves?
I think the first step is getting connected in your community. Like I said, there's tons of organizations, right, that I will say, right, when I was not involved, I would watch TV and see, like, community leaders speaking, and I was like, oh, yeah, that's great, thank you, for doing something for my community. But I would never actually think about, oh, wait, what if I actually try to contact that person? Or what if I actually try to get, close to or going to one of those meetings? I feel like, that's the very first step to do is actually finding a community organization, and if there's none, then perhaps starting something, right, within your community. And I think the second step is definitely come out of the shadows. You have to, I'm not saying just go out there and tell the entire world, hey, I'm undocumented without being connected to a network. But, that's exactly what you have to do first, connect to a network, and then tell them about your status, tell them your story. Like in my organization here in Arizona, we tell everybody we want to hear your story so we can connect you to our network. And whatever happens to you, just like it happened to me and my mother and my brother last couple of nights ago, then we can all work together to stop that deportation, right? And actually teach you how you can, if you're detained, how can you be safe inside of that jail by not signing a document or perhaps knowing the language of the documents that they want to make you sign type of thing. So there's a lot of things that being involved in your community can serve you for.
Amazing work. And before we end the interview, just, it seems like Congress and President Obama is going to really begin talks about comprehensive immigration reform. What would you tell them, or what have you been letting them know about the situation, and what is the direct result that you would like to see when it comes to immigration reform?
Mm-hmm. I actually did an interview earlier with CNN, and I actually spoke directly, to the camera, trying to really pass his message along to the president, telling him, look, he has a family, right? He has a family, he has daughters, he has a wife, and I'm not saying necessarily that it's all his fault, but what if one of his daughters was taken away from him, right? And I told him directly, we need to stop separating families. I understand that it's not all the president's fault. I understand that there's a Congress that's not working to pass immigration reform or the DREAM Act. But at the same time, we have also a president that has record number of deportations, and that every year that record number of deportations is escalating even more. And so we need an immediate way to help our families stay together. And at the same time, we need Congress and, like I said, the Republican Party that's been so harsh on immigration to actually start those conversations and start actually taking matters into their hands and not just playing the same political game of, great, let's have, immigration on the front cover of the newspapers, but, we'll talk about it later when it comes to actually voting on a bill. It's just not how it works right now. We need direct action ASAP.
Thank you, Erika. Any final thoughts?
Just want to tell the community, and especially the Latino community, that we have a lot of power in the Latino community. We have a lot of votes. Our community is growing, and a lot of politicians are afraid of that, and we need to use that. We need to use our political power to engage our Congress folks, to engage any community leaders we have, and, make this happen. We need to pass immigration reform. We need to pass the DREAM Act and start separating families this year.
Thank you, Erika, and I'm so glad that your mom and your brother are safely back home.
Thank you so much for inviting me.
Thank you, Erika. Joining us just now from Arizona, ground zero for the debate on immigration reform, was Erika Andiola with the DREAM Act Coalition. As mentioned, her mother and brother are safely back home, at least for the time being. A report released early January of this year by the Nonpartisan Migration Policy Institute cited that the United States spends more money on immigration enforcement than any other law enforcement agency combined, almost $18 billion in 2012. Those $18 billion went to the U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, Customs and Border Patrol, and U.S. Visit, a program that helps states and localities identify undocumented immigrants. The Migration Policy Institute found that ICE and Border Patrol refer more cases to prosecution than other law enforcement agencies combined, and the immigration agencies also held more individuals in 2011 than the Federal Bureau of Prisons, meaning there are more people in immigration detention centers across the country than in prison, which actually says a lot since America incarcerates more people than any other country in the world. In 2012, using their own discretion, the Department of Homeland Security removed a record 409,894 people from the United States, most of whom were deported without an order from an immigration judge or without the ability to say goodbye to their families. For more information, you can visit migrationpolicy.org or the immigrant rights page from the American Civil Liberties Union at aclu.org. I'm Wendy Carrillo. This is Knowledge is Power on KPWR, Los Angeles.